Hello everyone. Welcome to ETCV 622, Introduction to Interface Design. I'm Chris Johnson and I'm your instructor for this course. This video will introduce you to the purpose of the course, the projects, and talk about navigation, which is going to be different than you're used to with Moodle or D2L. So let's take a look at the course. So here we are in the Google site. Let's start by looking at the projects. Now I can roll the cursor over projects and see a list of the projects, or I can click the tab and it will show me all of the projects in this course. Now there are 10 projects in the course, but 2 of them are what I call my general projects, reflecting on the course, and in participating in class, posting introductory information, and participating in the discussion forums. The purpose of this class is to introduce you to some basic concepts about interface design. Now there are specialties that go into human-computer interaction and interface design, and that could be your entire program. So my purpose is to introduce you to some general principles about designing digital materials. The way the course works is you'll start looking at some general principles on usability, design principles, accessibility and universal design, how to navigate, and then you're going to look for some examples of both good and bad design. You'll take what you learn in these first projects and apply that to developing a prototype of an app. Now, when I say app, that could be a web page, or it could be a mobile app for a smartphone or a tablet. And you'll learn more about that when we get to the prototype project. So let's talk a little bit about navigation in the course. Every time you enter, you will come to the 622 homepage. Rolling the cursor across the tabs will show you either a blue line, which means that clicking on this tab would take me to information about the forums, or a pull-down menu. So for example, I could look at the due dates or information on a particular project. The very first time you come into the class, please make sure that you look at the Start Here tab. This has some important information about getting started in the course. Now that includes looking at the course info, which has the syllabus, how to navigate the course, and information for the online meeting. So this is all important information for you to look at within about the first week of class. So let's briefly look at one of the projects. Let's say the first law of usability. Each page will be laid out the same way. Across the top, there'll be some internal navigation. So if you want to go to the steps to completing or how to submit, you can just click here and it will take you down to that portion of the page. You can also go to any of the other projects here. So I start out with a purpose, a due date, an introduction, very brief one here, and the steps to complete the assignment. Then also how you're going to submit your assignment. We'll do that 2 ways, either through a discussion forum or through a Google Drive. The required elements tell you what you need to know in terms of meeting the target level of my rubric, and my expectation is that everyone in this course will meet the target level. So let's talk about how you can do that. In the syllabus, you'll see that there are some policies on submitting a project. I'm going to click on that. The procedure to do it is discussed in submitting a project, and that will talk about how you can do it in a forum or put it in your Google Drive. But what I want to look at is the late submission policy. I will accept products late up until 3 days beyond the original due date. After that 3rd date, there'll be an automatic deduction of 10% of the points possible on that project. However, I recognize that you're all working professionals and things come up. You may have a sick child, you may have a deadline at work come up. So as long as you tell me before or within that 3-day period after a due date that you are not able to make that due date, that will be fine. You will not be penalized. What I will ask you to do, though, is to give me a new due date. So if you tell me I can't submit project X by date Y, I will ask you, okay, when can you submit it? Now, in terms of meeting the target level, you may also resubmit a project as much as you'd like. You can do this up until the last day of class. Last thing I want to point out in terms of submitting is my network outage. We're very internet and computer dependent in this program. So if you have a problem with the network or your computer on a due date, don't panic. Just know that you just have to let me know that that's a problem, and I will automatically give you an extension. Now I have a day here I was thinking network issues when I set the day. If it's a computer issue, it may take you a little bit longer. You may be off by a couple of weeks. We'll work that out. So if you do have any sort of a technology issue, I don't penalize for those. But you do need to let me know that you're having a problem. And if all else fails, you can't email me because your computer's down, give me a call and let me know. Next, I want to touch briefly on the discussion forums. In this class, we're going to be using a tool called Piazza. And Piazza allows you to do discussions, but in a way that's different than what you're probably used to in other course management systems. So I will be providing some additional instruction on how to use Piazza, but if you find it difficult or confusing, let me know as soon as possible and we'll work it out. Finally, on checking for your grade. Instead of a built-in gradebook, I'm going to be using Google Docs, and specifically a Google spreadsheet. Those of you that have taken classes from me before know about my Google spreadsheets. They'll have all of your projects, the criteria for each project, and I put an R when I've received it or a G when I've graded it. Please remember though, this spreadsheet is not as smart as some grade books. So especially for your final grade, you may look at your final grade about halfway through and see that you have an E. Well, if you go back and look at what you've submitted and you have 90% or better, you actually have an A. But there's no easy way for me to reflect that in your final grade until all of the submissions are in. Also, within an assignment, you may see that you've got 3 out of 10 points. And this happens if it's a multi-part assignment, where I may grade one part of it at 1 point, and so you've got the 3 points, and then I'll grade the rest of it later in the course. The point is, if you have concerns about your grade at any point, feel free to email me. So I really look forward to this class. It's one of the most fun ones that I teach in terms of seeing what you come up with within your course. So I look forward to working with all of you.